So many buttons and stuff. So this might be a great opportunity for us just to run through the different buttons on the camera and what each of them do. Does, do, they does it. Anyway, so you're just going to run through, just follow on the numbers. I've indicated with numbers on the entire body, so you can just run through with me. One is the pop-up flash, means that the flash is going to pop up whenever you need it. You can do that manually as well at some of the modes. The pop-up flash button is just next to it. The lens release button is number 3. So that's the button that you press when you're busy exchanging lenses. Number 4 is the depth of field preview button. So that allows you to see the selected depth of field before you take the shot. So it's going to just darken the screen a little bit and you're going to see what's happening in your background. Lens contact points is number 5. The lens also have some of these, so make sure that you keep them clean, and they are quite necessary for the lens to communicate with the camera. Number 6 is the mirror. That is the one that is not available on on the mirrorless cameras. Number 7 is the grip. You'll see most of the cameras got like a nice rubbery kind of grip that that your hand can just kind of latch into. Number 8 is the shutter release. So that's the button that you're going to press halfway to focus if you're not using back button focusing and all of that. So press it halfway down, the camera will focus, and if you press it all the way down, the shot will be taken. Number 9 is the focus assist beam. It's different on all cameras, so just kind of revert to your manual for that if you want to know more about that. Basically just used to kind of light up your subject so that the lens can focus. Number 10 is the lens alignment mark. It's normally a red button, so the red buttons needs to be lined up for your lens to slot into the camera. Let's quickly have a look at the back of the camera. So at the back of the camera you have your viewfinder at number 1. That's the little hole that you're going to peek through to take the shot. Number 2 is the viewfinder adjustment wheel. So if you're like me, you're wearing glasses, then you can adjust, just turn that little knobby on the side so that the focus can be right for your eyes. Number 3 is the eye cup. Number 4, the joystick. The joystick we use to navigate through different images and menus. Number 5 is the exposure lock or the zoom. Just to zoom into your images after you've taken them, just to make sure that your focus is sharp. The focus point selector is number 6. That is to adjust your focal points. Number 7 is the right indication light. So that little thing is gonna light up when the shot has been taken and it's busy recording onto your memory card, which is kind of helpful if you're doing night photography or longer exposures, so that you can see when the camera is ready and done before you can continue. Right, number 8 is the jog dial and the set button. That is to help you scroll through menus, and the set button is pressed when you want to confirm a selection and so on. Number 9 is your power on and power off switch. Number 10 is the erase button. So if you want to erase images from your memory card, which happens ever so often, then you're going to use that. Number 11 is the playback button. So that's going to display the image that you've just taken. Number 12 is the jump back button. So you can actually set that up to skip over multiple images or just view them one at a time. Number 13 is the info button. So that's it provides image information such as your exposure, image size, date and time, flash details, and all those things. Number 14 is your menu button. So that's going to allow you to go into the menu. And number 15, and actually there's a little thingy there that shouldn't be there, so just imagine, use your mind's eye and don't see it, for the menu button. Number 15 is your LCD screen, and that is where you're going to be looking at your images. You can also switch that on most cameras at the back, your LCD to use that instead of the viewfinder. And so we continue to the last bit. On the top of your camera, there's a whole bunch of buttons and dials and thingy-majiggies. So we're just going to run through them. Number one is the LCD display or the light display. You can switch that on, so that's going to light up this little panel. If you in a dark area, whatever, you can press that and it will illuminate. Once again, this is going to be different on all cameras, but they will do more or less the same thing, and the buttons will look very much the same. Number two is your white balance or your autofocus. To adjust your white balance and your autofocus settings. Number three is your drive or ISO, so that's where you're going to change your ISO, your drive settings. Number four is the shutter button. 5 is the main dial. The main dial is used to change your shutter speeds and aperture and all kinds of other navigations. On your digital camera, on your mirrorless camera, you can actually set up these dials to do a whole bunch of different things. But on most DSLRs, these are kind of set as standard. So number 6 is your metering and your exposure compensation button. It's also there on top of the camera. That's for adjusting your metering modes and your exposure compensation. We're going to get to all of that a little bit later in the course. Number 7 is your LCD panel. That is, just where you can see your parameters and how they've been set and some details on what you're busy with. The hot shoe. This is where your flash fits onto the camera, so it just slides into that little hole. Also, when you're using off-camera flash methods, which we will have a look at later at a later stage as well, then your trigger is going to slide into this portion instead of the flash. Number 9 is your mode dial. The mode dial is to select the available shooting modes that's available on your camera. So we're going to have a look at all those different settings as well, and the 3 most frequently used ones that we'll spend a little bit more time on. And then number 10 is your pop-up flash. So I know this is like really boring stuff, but it's important that we get through all of this before we start taking photos. The last thing you want to do is be in a dark spot or whatever, or in a situation where you need to make a quick adjustment and you don't know where to find the button. So hope this helps a little bit.